Very much for your kind inspection. I would like to tell you a bit more about a project that we are doing, the Fast at Home project. It's an acronym for Fit After Stroke at Home. And in this talk I would like to take you along the development, the implementation and also evaluation of a digital platform for stroke rehabilitation. So what we will discuss in the next 15 minutes is not only the evaluation or not only the implementation, not only the development, but the complete project. And I think it's interesting for you to hear how we did this. My name is Jorit Meesters and I work indeed for the Sophia Revalidatie Center, also for the Leiden University Medical Center and for the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and soon also for the Nederland Rehabilitation Center, because there is a merge coming very soon and then we are one. I have nothing to disclose. But I just want to mention that we can do this project because we have funding from the RAAC Pro Foundation, and it's for 700,000 euros. And we have been working on this project for 2 years now, and we have 2 years to go. So we did a lot of work the last 2 years, and we're halfway now. And we would like to show some experiences and the things that we did. First, I think in this kind of projects, it's very essential that you have a good collaboration. In the center, you see a key, and I think that collaboration in this project is really the key to success. What we work together with is healthcare institutions, so 2 rehabilitation centers are included, but also 2 university medical centers are included, and also knowledge institutions are included, universities of applied sciences, but also academic universities. And also very interesting, and it's one of the requirements for a RAAC Pro funding, is that you also have to include the businesses and the manufacturers. So we had several of them included in this project. So it's a very complex structure, but it works very nice. And what we also thought about is that it's very hard to let people and institutions start working with e-health. So we also included some partners who are specialized in the dissemination of e-health in the future. For example, the Brain Foundation Netherlands, which is actually kind of a patient consumer organization, and also the NBI, which is an educational organization for post-professional education. And also interesting is that our partner of Brazilian rehabilitation hospitals is also interested in this kind of interventions, so they're also included in this project. Here are a lot of people, and obviously I forgot some of the people who are working on this project to mention them, but I want to highlight a few, and those are our 3 PhD students who are working on this project, who really do a lot of work on the floor to encourage all the health professionals and everybody, and they also have to deal with all the technical problems. Is Barbara Browns, Manon Wenting and Hanneke Braakhuis, and of course Arend, who is also the project coordinator of Fast at Home. He does a lot of work to coordinate this complex project. But now back to the introduction, because we all know the potentials of e-health in stroke rehabilitation and rehabilitation in general. It has proved to lead to early discharge and also a positive influence on recovery. And it could also help to tackle some of the future demands that are ahead of us. Challenges, for example, the growing number of stroke patients and the decreasing number of health professionals, and also the decrease of budgets. But for, at this moment, the e-health innovations and interventions, they're really scattered, and we're not really sure which are of high quality and which are also user-friendly for patients. And also we know that patients are not all capable of using e-health and digital media, and we also see that the professionals are somehow reluctant to start using it. It's been mentioned a few times throughout this session. Also, we are not really sure what the effects are of e-health in rehabilitation. So we set up a project in which we aim to develop and implement and also evaluate a digital platform for stroke rehabilitation. And we wanted it not as a substitute for regular rehabilitation care, but really as a supplement to the rehabilitation care in the center and also at home. And in opposite to what Judith did at Care for Stroke, we did not design a completely new intervention or an application. We're really keen on this platform to use off-the-shelf e-health applications. And what we also think is that the adoption of e-health is a problem, but we also think that it could be a problem because the involvement of the actually users, and then you predominantly think about patients, caregivers and health professionals, is not well organized in the beginning of the project. So that's all things that we would like to take along in this project. Before I go on talking about digital platforms all the time, you think, what is actually a digital platform? I certainly would like to show this slide. At the end of this session, one of our colleagues will be available to show you the platform on a laptop, so you can see how it actually works. But this is a web-based environment in which a patient can do some exercises. The health professional can set some exercises over there, and I will get back into the exercises in a few slides. But from this platform, the patient can start his or her e-revalidatation. So the good thing about this project is that we had it highly structured. As Hans told us via YouTube, perhaps you should not start that structured, but in this project we really did. And first we were very interested in the perspective of the users. So what do the patients want in this platform? And also we were very interested, of course, in developing this digital platform. And we also wanted to evaluate the outcomes. The outcomes of revalization is often physical activity. So one of the parts was also to identify the best activity tracker in this project for stroke rehabilitation. And another one, I think it's one of the most important, is the implementation of the platform. And of course we also wanted to evaluate the effects. So I will go in this presentation past these points, tell you a bit more about it. Well, first what we did was to capture the perspective of the users by doing a qualitative focus group study in which we explored the requirements, so what should be in the platform, and also the barriers and facilitators for the use of the platform, which is also important because there are a lot of possible barriers to start using it and continue using it. And for that we included the stakeholders which are actually using it, and those are the patients, the caregivers, the health professionals, the physicians, and also management. As you see, we conducted some focus group studies in which all these people talk together, and the aim of a focus group study is if you bring those expertise together, that 1 and 1 is more than just 2. Here we see a small Brazilian flag. That means that we also did some of these focus groups in Brazil. And we are looking at what are the differences between Brazil and others. We know there are a lot, but one of them could possibly be that the distances in Brazil to the rehabilitation centers are much larger than we have over here. We were there once and we found out that patients were willing to go by car or by bus for 2 hours to the rehabilitation center for just a morning of treatment. Now, some of the barriers and facilitators that came out of this focus group study could be grouped into 5 teams. The first one was barriers or facilitators on the level of innovation, the other on the organizational context, and we found out that mainly the health professionals found the most barriers over there. The other one was on the individual patients, and where the patients said, well, that is my largest barrier. Am I capable of using the platform or not? And the individual professional, they had less concerns about that. And also we had some themes, some of these elements in the theme economic and political context. And the good part of this project is that we used all of this to do the development of the platform, but also the development of the implementation strategy. So we knew our barriers and facilitators beforehand, before we started to develop it and before we started to implement it. And also we are currently publishing 2 articles from this qualitative focus group study. The development of the platform, we really wanted this web-based environment, so not just via an app, but it's really a web-based place where users can go to for physical training and activity tracking, cognitive training and education, and all via e-health. And we wanted to have them access to it for 16 weeks and alongside their regular rehabilitation. And it should be has to be used by a patient himself, but there had to be a startup with a health professional. So we did not develop something and then gave to the patient and said, well, manage yourself. It was really important that the startup is with a health professional. And Bert already mentioned that we really wanted to make it as easy as possible. So one of the important things that the patient only had to sign on once, the single sign-on. As I mentioned, we really use only the components off the shelf because we are a healthcare institution. We do not have the thrive and the money and the expertise to do all this constantly developing and updating. So for physical training we had two systems. One is VisiTrack and the other is rehabilitation, which is actually tailored revalidatie. It was already used in the Rijnlands Revalidatie Center that also participated in this project. And it's hard to say which are the best components of VisiTrack to offer to stroke patients. So what we did with the manufacturer, with VisiTrack, is that we asked them to put all the exercises that are in the exercise book Stroke of the Hoogstraat in Utrecht in their system. And that's good in this close collaboration between manufacturers and project members and researchers, is that it's quite easy to make these short connections and to help them develop things for you. So actually you are not developing it yourself, but you have great influence on how they develop it for them. And also there's a benefit for them because they really increase their exercise database for stroke. Also we added the Active Aid that we used for tracking activities. I'll come back to that a bit later. And also we did some cognitive training with brain gym, which is serious gaming for all kinds of neuropsychological domains, for example, attention and speed. And also we had a psychoeducation module, which really had stroke-related information for the patient, but also for the caregiver. And we really wanted it to be flexible and tailored. So that means that if a patient does not have cognitive problems, then if the patient didn't want to do the cognitive training, we just left it out. So it's not that all patients always have 4 tiles. And we really want to develop the platform also as flexible as possible, so that it could be easy in the future to just plug in and plug out applications that come to the market, and just plug out applications that are not longer of your appreciation. Here are some of the examples. On the upper left you see VisiTrack, physical training, right is brain gym, and below you see the Active Aid. And we really wanted to have an activity tracker to measure daily activities, and we wanted to have it for 2 purposes. One is for using it as an outcome in our study, and also we wanted it on the platform so that patients would have feedback on how much they exercise or move their day. As I mentioned before, one of the aspects that is really important for a center, but also for health professionals and also for us in the project group, is to do a structured strategy that was based on all kind of evidence-based models for implementation. And actually we did it kind of backwards because we did not know yet whether the intervention was effective or not, but we really wanted to evaluate it in daily care, so we had to do this very structured. And the first thing is that we did look carefully at the current care process and try to integrate fast at home as good as possible. So that meant that for different departments and different rehabilitation centers, we also developed different strategies for that. We really focused on the barriers and facilitators that we learned from the beginning of the project, from these focus group studies. And we organized all kinds of activities for health professionals throughout the center. Education, we did face-to-face, but we also developed e-learning modules, education, and for health professionals to get along with it. And it's not only getting people motivated, but also keeping people motivated. And we also organized all kinds of support for our health professionals and for patients, because it's essential that if you start using this and there is a problem, that you have a place where you can go to and that you have a really quick solution for them. Students were involved as well, and we also set up some help desks. The effects of the platform, that's something that we want to evaluate in the future. What we are going to do is that we're going to compare the outcomes of stroke rehabilitation before and after the implementation of 16 weeks. After the implementation of the 16-week fast at home intervention. And we're really interested in what are the effects, and what are the costs, and what are the users and the satisfaction. And what we have in our rehabilitation centers, that we have an ongoing cohort of stroke patients that we evaluate before and after, and also the follow-up of the rehabilitation. So it gives us a very good basis for doing this kind of comparisons. It's a SCORE cohort. what's the current status? We are 6 months on our way, so we have the platform 6 months available, and it is so far successfully implemented in routine care in 2 rehabilitation centers, and over 100 patients that we are also using in this project are already actively using the platform. And we also started implementation in 2 more centers this month, so last month, so that's also quite a big time for us. Some issues that we found out during the project. In the basis, the platform was not fully customized for fast at home, so it gave us some problems in the development. For example, the administration is at this moment a bit too complex to our taste, so that's something that we want to improve in the future. Also, the singles log-on was quite a hassle, and also the integrating of browsers and different locations that we use was something that we met along in the project. Also, what we see is that we had some methodological issues, and it's not really issues, but what you see is that if you look at the conventional ways of doing research and doing these kinds of projects, they're all very linear, and it means that they take a lot of time. For example, we are now 2 years on the way, and perhaps there is some new technology at this moment that was not available at the time that we started. So we are really looking at ways to do this much more condensed and much more quicker, and developing it along the way. And there are some good methodologies for that. And also implementation. We put a lot of effort in that, and that's actually very necessary because our health professionals are very excited. And they are willing to cooperate with us. But we see that as soon as they get problems with time, etc., then these kind of interventions, these kind of innovations, is something that they will stop with first. So we are doing some extra implementation activities the coming months to keep our health professionals motivated. And we're really halfway and on our way. It is quite a bumpy and curvy road, but I think that we did a lot of work with a very good team, and I thank you very much for your attention.